GSL.
Welcome back to the GSL Code A. We're going to go into our winners match right now to have our very first crowned Code S player going into 2014. Of course, we already have a set of players already in Code S, but we're going to see the ones who are getting in out through Code A in these groups today.
Yeah, Ruin going up against Curious now, and already one Zerg was defeated by the Protoss player. Now he's facing Curious, someone who has in Wings of Liberty had an incredible record against Protoss, but in Out of the Swarm, it's his worst matchup, so...
Yeah, things got a little bit different. Void Rays weren't as strong in Wings of Liberty, and you couldn't just make that air composition that we've seen so many players. There was also no Tempest in Wings of Liberty, so Curious could just make a million Sport Crawlers, but things are a little bit different. I mean, he would literally make like 40, 50 Sport Crawlers in the game and Wings of Liberty in the late games ZVP.
Yeah, he would definitely do that. Of course, that one game against Cradle always in everyone's mind, just quite fresh. But we are going to have a quick look at the results so far today. As you can see, the two players that are facing each other in the winners match are Ruin and Curious. Curious with a 2-0 over Effort, and Ruin with a 2-1 victory over Sleep. And the two Zerg players are facing each other in the losers match then later on.
Yeah, so this is going to be kind of a funny position for Curious, because not only is this his worst matchup, but he's looking really on fire in the ZVZ, and he's probably practicing that matchup a little bit more. And so for him now, he's going, wow, I have to not only play against Ruin, but he probably just watched Ruin's game against Sleep, and he's thinking, this is a really scary player who can catch me off guard. I'm going to have to play really safe against him.
But you know, on the other hand, on paper, Ruin is the easiest opponent, I feel, in this group.
Yeah, I agree.
If you think about like the accomplishments of Effort in the past and Sleep as well. So on paper, Ruin is definitely the one where you think, all right, this is going to be one of the guys that I'm going to beat. The problem, of course, is the preparation, where as a Zerg in this group, you have to prepare for 2 matchups. Ruin had to focus on only one. Then you can argument that Curious had a chance to watch the PVZ of Ruin in the last game, so he can maybe scout a little bit more aggressively, make sure that he doesn't miss anything here. But yeah, so I would personally favor Curious, even though he has the worst record in the matchup. But let's see what Ruin can do after he just showed us a comeback against Sleep.
Altazim Stronghold is our very first map. Looks like Ruin's making sure with some of his settings, or maybe his headset there. Curious, as usual, having no problems and no emotions and nothing but a stern look on his face, as always. And like you said, Ruin is definitely the underdog in the group. He has the least accomplishments in Heart of the Swarm. And really all he has to go on is his Pro League matches so far this year.
It's also that Curious is currently a bit on a winning streak against Protoss if you look at best of 3 and best of 5 matches. A few of those were played against foreign Protoss players. He took, for example, Baby Knight down with the 2-0. He won against Stars with the 2-1. But he also defeated IM in New York just last year. Took down SOS with a 3-2. So a couple of good victories under his belt here that should give him the confidence to go up against someone like Ruin.
Yeah, that's a really good point, especially the victory against SOS. That's no easy feat. You know, you talked about beating some of the strong foreign Zergs, but beating SOS is a really big deal. So we'll see how if Ruin can keep his emotions in check here. Really solid play against Sleep. Now playing the same matchup he's playing all day today. Maybe he could actually win and get out of this group. Would be a big upset, I feel, for it to happen in first place. Let's find out if he can do it on Altazim Stronghold. Time for some more GSL Code A with Powder and Wolves.
Curious versus Ruin.
Ruin starts at the top right. Another Protoss versus Zerg. He just defeated Sleep with a 2-1. Finds himself in the winners match now, going up against another Zerg player. This time he has to face StarTale Curious, the incredible Miracle Protoss player here, going through the same matchup in all of his matches today. And to the top left of the map, we have Curious, the StarTale player, successful against Effort with a really quick 2-0 early on in the first best of 3 of the day, dominating the series. And let's see what Curious can do in this game. Who's going to be the first player out of Group B to advance to Code S today?
This map is massive. I mean, look at how many bases are on it. It would take me forever to count them. It's a 4-player map, and it actually would take me forever to count it. It would take me maybe like about 10 seconds, but it would take me a while to count them right now while I'm explaining this to you guys. So I'm going to look at one base and then multiply how many bases there are. Like, so it looks like it's about 16 or 20 bases, unless I miscounted. Maybe it was just a lot of bases. And in Wings of Liberty, this would be like Curious's wet dream, just looking at this map and saying, wow, I'm just going to play a late game, you're not going to kill me. It reminds me of almost like Tal'Darim Altar or I mean, just a map like Tall Dream Melted, like Whirlwind. There's just a ton of bases to take, and if you go late game, the Zerg has a lot of options for getting a big bank and just continue to move across the map and take hatcheries.
You want to know how many bases there are?
Are there 16 or 20? You're like, there's 15. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense.
No, that's 20.
There are 20. Okay, I thought there were 20. Because there's 5 in each corner, and you multiply that by 4. 4 times 5 is 20. Last I checked, anyways. Sometimes math changes, right? Like, is that...
Oh, you're right. You're good. You know, talking about big bases, we talked about this a little bit earlier in the first PvZ that Ruin played when we saw Frost. We have now that double hatch before pool, and it makes a lot more sense on a map like Altazim Stronghold than on Frost. Both are big maps, but you get that advantage even a little bit bigger on Altazim Stronghold. The positions that we have right now, with the scouting and how it works, is actually in Kira's favor, because we saw the scout from Ruin go to the bottom right first, so a very late scout for him. Curious gets a bit lucky in this regard.
Yeah.
But I'm really interested to see how Ruin is going to react once he spots what's happening here.
Yeah, I'm curious too, because...
no, that's him.
Well, yeah, that's him, sorry. But I'm really interested to see how Ruin reacts, because you see double hatch before pool, and he actually blindly goes one base DT, or one base blink, possibly. Actually, it might even be better.
That is a pretty good opening for him here. I like that. Looks like Ruin was gambling here a bit too. And now suddenly Curious start with the double hatch before pool that he got away with doesn't look that promising anymore. Yeah. It just depends on if he can defend against what Ruin is throwing his way or not. If he defends, then he's in the perfect spot to win this game.
I think it actually is going to be Blink. We'll see though. It could be DTs, and with the probe going down, it's definitely going to be DTs. It's hard to make Blink work against somebody who scouts it. DTs, on the other hand, are the same way.
Alright, so right now the situation that we have is if Curious holds against the DTs, if Curious gets detection early on,
he wins.
There is, like, I feel nothing that Ruin can do to win this game anymore. But if Ruin does the damage with his fast tech on one base, then it's a completely different story.
Yeah, this Overlord will go down. The Overlord on the main base is not actually moving into Scout, and if he does try to move in, it's a long way away to actually see that Dark Shrine. A lot of Zerglings coming down here, but that's not going to be what he wants. He wants detection. That's literally all he needs right now. He needs a Spore Caller at every base, and he needs to cut the DTs off.
But he knows that there is no expansion in the main base. He knows that. He knows there is no second base, and that should get his spider senses tingling a bit.
Yeah, he starts speeding, he gets a bunch of lings. I really feel maybe he's expecting Blink or like a 4-gate or something. I don't think the DTs are what he's expecting. He should start Spore Callers soon, just to be safe. Like, any safe Zerg would add Spore Callers here, and there is Blink as a follow-up.
He needs to know that there is something going on. There was no Nexus, there's no probe heading down that ramp. So, looking at this, he is like, well, you're still on one base. Something is going on. I don't know what it is, but something's happening here. And he had a Zergling there. He sees the warp in now. Here come the DTs. Where are those Spore Crawlers? He sees them. The Spore Crawlers are built immediately. There are 2 of them. And how much damage can 2 DTs do?
He needs multiple Spore Callers at each base, because the first one's going to go down here, as you can see at the natural.
Yeah, nice defense so far on the other hand, and it looks actually pretty promising for Curious here. He's delaying this as long as he can. He's saving those Spore Crawlers. There's no base that can be taken out. I like the defense here. Yes, Spore Crawler number 1 goes down, but the second one, it's something that he can't avoid.
Yeah, and I mean, that DT over here was not even trying to retreat or anything, so he goes down for free. 18
drones on the other hand. Just now Curious starts to heavily drone up very aggressively. That Blink follow-up on one base could do a lot of damage. We have those Zerglings there, so with speed.
This Zergling with speed, and as soon as he identifies it's a Blink follow-up, which is going to be very obvious as soon as he sees that there's still no Nexus, he just has to keep making Zerglings. And he's got the drone count to support that. He has 3 hatcheries, so a ton of larvae. I think this is still pretty promising for Curious, who actually just goes for a counterattack instead, which I don't blame him for.
Well, he doesn't really know what's happening here, so he wants to just break through, but I like the position of Curious a lot. Ruin is in such a tough spot now. His DTs did basically nothing. They killed a few, like how many minerals did he lose? Like maybe like 300-400 if so?
Yeah.
Maybe not even that. And Curious now has a good economy, 3 bases, 3 mineral lines, 33 harvesters, a lot of Zerglings. He has the production that he needs, the queens are out there, and he goes into a Roach Warren. the Lings alone can throw those units back. There's no +1 attack upgrade. This is a great spot for Curious.
I mean, he's actually just going to surround and start killing these Stalkers right away. I mean, what is Ruin going to do? What I think he's going to do is type GG because he's losing way too much.
He's in cooldown with a blink. He's trying to save a few of them, but this is not going to end well for him. Curious is throwing away a couple of Zerglings, but he's going to be fine here. The economy and the production that he has supports him getting more and more Zerglings, and Ruin knows that this is not looking good. He doesn't have a second base. He doesn't have the second income. He's one base still.
I mean, if he had like an Archon or two to help this out even, that would have helped him a little bit, but still, GG.
GG in game. Curious with double hatch before pool going up against the one base build of Ruin. And the Zerg player holds defense well against those DTs, and that's basically all she wrote.
And this is why you don't see one base builds. Granted, he did get a little bit unlucky with the scout, because if he were cross spawns, Curious wouldn't have been able to identify that it was on one base and might not have found the pylon. But he found, not only did he find the pylon, but he saw the DTs warping in, did not get shy with his 4 callers, made 2 at his base that was the closest, then 1 at each, and with all the Zerglings that he had, all the production that he had, it was super easy to deal with the follow-up. And
those DTs did have to do a massive amount of damage. Even killing one base might not have been enough, considering that there was no second base for Ruin. And with only 2 DTs, it's very difficult to really achieve that if you split them up and send 1 in each base. If the Zerg player is absolutely blindsided and doesn't even start the Spore Crawlers before the DTs are moving in, then you might be able to get that damage. But at this point, Ruin just didn't have enough damage output to really go for it. And Curious with a good defense here.
Yeah, Curious has got to be feeling awesome right now. Up a game in the series. He's in the winner's match. He wants to go to Code S. He wants to knock more people to Code B. That's what he does. He's the gatekeeper. The map that we have picked here by Ruin is Yunsu, a 2-player map. Could see a completely different game here. I think we will definitely see a more macro-oriented style, or maybe even a timing again here by Ruin.
And keep in mind that this is also one of... I mean, Ruin was behind in the series once before, in the first best of 3 we played today. So Curious knows that it's not over just yet. One more map that he has to win to go to Code S. He's going to take that super serious. And Yonso is the map where we will see this game between the two of them. Curious might be the first one to advance to Code S without dropping a map today. We're going to find out right now. The GSL Code A. Curious going up against Ruin. Brought to you by Colin Wolf.